Hi everyone, this is Dan, and this is Asterix Omnibus 1. This is by Rene Goscinny and Albert Uderzo. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. Probably not. So let's get this out of the way. Many people don't know this, except in Europe. In Europe, everybody knows this for the most part. Asterix is an extraordinarily popular comic book series, right? Obviously, looking at the art right here, this is a very cartoony art, very reminiscent of Disney and Hanna-Barbera, a little bit of Warner Brothers, stuff like that. It definitely kind of invokes more like the Disney comics in a way. Yeah, people don't know this. Getting back on track. But yeah, I think this is the third or the fourth highest selling comic book series of all time. And at least in terms of sold collected books like this. I think it might be second. I forget. I think there's basically like, there's two manga series, One Piece and I think Golgo 13 that are above it. But otherwise, this is the first, or the highest selling non-Japanese comic book collected series, and it's freaking by a wide margin. By the way, if you ever go look it up on Wikipedia, the only American comic book series that makes it in, I think, the top 20 to the top 30 is not even technically what we would consider a comic book. It's the Peanuts. Yeah. Otherwise, America gets washed by pretty much everybody in the world for the most part. So, yeah, why am I doing this? I think it's important to kind of go over this because it's almost silly to talk about comics around the world and not mention this series. It's pretty well known and renowned in its, area of origin. I forget. I think this is technically French. I'm not sure if it's like multiple Europeans or because a lot of times the French-Belgium market has Europeans from all over Europe, obviously, like Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, Polish, etc., all releasing books in this market. So I'm not really sure. I think Rene Goscinny is French. But again, forgive me, I didn't grow up with this stuff. I just am like extremely curious, so I picked up this copy when it went on sale just to see what it is. So here's what I'll say about Asterix. I went completely blind into this. And I will say it is peculiar in a way, and I'm not meaning it as a diss or to people who like this series, who grew up or have fond memories of it. I'm just very amazed by it because there's a lot of history involved and sort of like world history and general background that you kind of have to understand to understand this comic book for the most part. So it's based in Gaul. In the time of the Roman Empire, as you can see right here, it gives you this nice little introduction stage. So for a lot of American readers who may not have like paid attention to world history, a lot of stuff is going to go right over your head sometimes in this series. Like we do go over world history in the United States, but it's very, very brief, and we just kind of rush through it. It's almost like a mad dash to get to World War I and II in world history. But they kind of talk about the Roman Empire for a little bit. Whereas I imagine in France, this has gone over much more in depth in their schools, just because it is essentially the history of France to a degree, or Europe even, because this is the Roman Empire and they basically conquered Europe. So yeah, we get an introduction to the characters. Asterix is the hero. He's kind of got this, funny looking mustache. He's very Smurf-like. Like everybody in here looks like the art is very Disney-esque, Smurf-esque, that kind of art style. And it's cool. I kind of like it. You got Obelix, his muscle-bound friend. You got Getafix, the druid. Everybody has an X at the end. I'm actually not even sure if I'm pronouncing this correctly because there could be a way, the right way of doing that. So again, if there's any European, French, or people who are in the know, viewers that are watching this, sorry, I didn't really grow up with this, so I'm not really sure almost how to approach it. It's just kind of like it's kind of this thing that you didn't realize was a big thing that you just jumped into. But anyway, I'll kind of briefly go over the first story. So the first story kind of introduced Asterix and their village in Amorica, Amorica, where they're kind of the last holdouts against the Roman Empire. And here you see, Asterix kicking the crap out of some Roman legionnaires. This is typical bande dessinée format, by the way, very wide, lots of panels per page, right? So the French typically have this wide open album format with a lot of panels per page. This isn't always the case. Sometimes they will do big panels and big spreads, but you usually see a lot of panels per page and wider formatting. But yeah, very much it feels like a comic strip put into a comic book format, but it's just a longer format story. So they talk about so here's the introduction of the druid who's making potions and stuff. And here he's kind of explaining how the potion works and how it gives Asterix superhuman strength, which allows him to sort of overpower the legionnaires who are trying to conquer them, right? So a lot of it is kind of funny, sort of silly Billy humor. Caligula's Minus is out. It's like cartoony, almost like I almost want to. When I was going through this comic book, and we're just going to keep through. So basically, they tell this Roman legionnaire, kind of like the loser of the group, to go over to the Gauls and try to infiltrate them as a spy, right? And they trick Asterix into taking him in by tying him up as a prisoner. And then while he's there, he discovers the secret of the potion and runs over to, this dude whose name is Christmas Bonus. Again, something that's kind of interesting is I'm not sure if these names are different in the original French version, and this is like the English translator screwing with this. Like, you sometimes have to remember, just like with manga, like the English translator can have a big effect on how it's received by the English audience. It kind of makes you, and honestly, I don't blame people who are really, really into it but grew up in an English country to just learn French or Spanish or whatever is the original language, just so you understand the actual intention of the author and the creators, right? Again, I don't know, so maybe someone who's more in the know, who has both the English version and the French version and understands them both, can probably say more at it. I will say this, the names of the characters are designed to be very punnish and funny. So yeah, they are able to capture Getafax, the druid, and they essentially try to torture him to get the information about the magical potion that gives them their super strength. So Asterix goes on a rescue mission to go get Getafax out, and it kind of leads into this sort of weird back and forth, funny, almost like definitely like Hanna-Barbera type of cartoon humor, right? That's been going on here. So it's all really, really silly, and eventually they kind of convince them, or they trick the Romans into taking a potion that isn't actually a super potion, but instead a potion that makes them grow hair. Sorry, this book is like huge. It's hard to fit it in here. And the end result is, I think Julius Caesar ends up showing up, and he ends up, calling a truce for now with the Gauls, and Asterix is like, well, yeah, we'll be here waiting for you. So, sort of interesting. Did I enjoy this? Not really, because I think I was supremely confused through half of reading through this. And I think some of this might be the translation. Some of it might just be that, the aspects of the Roman Empire and Gaul are just something more ingrained in Europe than it is in America. So I just don't understand the context very well. And again, cartoon humor, like silly Billy humor, for those of people who remember like my review of Earthworm Jim, it's not really for me. But for historical purposes, I wanted to read this and try to get an understanding of why it was so popular. And I think really the art is, just gorgeous cartoon art. And I can kind of see, based on just sort of the subject matter, why it would be very popular in Europe, right? So anyhow, that is the first story of Asterix Omnibus #1. I didn't even go over it. Yeah, Asterix the Gaul, right? So anyway, let's go to art. So this is a good time to talk about, cartooning, right? So, I have never drawn in a cartooning style, but I kind of wanted to do it for this video, just because it would be silly trying to draw Asterix in like a human-like or realistic form. I mean, it's meant to be cartoony, so again, exaggerated proportions and everything. This was penciled with a 0.05 HB, or 0.5, I should say. Why am I saying 0.05? I'm thinking of my Copics. So let me get to the inks. 3, 2, 1. All right, here we go. Inks. So, cartooning styles. I kind of like, every time I do one of these more simpler art styles where I'm kind of mimicking someone else, I kind of like, I guess I should say admire the cartooning style, or the simpler, more, I guess, I forget how to say it. There was like a phrase that Hirohiko Araki used to describe it, and I'm trying to remember it right now. But yeah, inking this reminds me why the cartooning style was kind of created, because it's visually attractive, simple, and it's not to degrade the skill required to do this, but it's less intensive on your tools, right? Everything is very thick lines, right? Thick lines everywhere, and you kind of add some weight where you need to add the weight, but you know, for the most part, just heavy flats, thick lines, you know, a lot of simple stuff that's not brutal on the artist to execute on, right? So yeah, this was actually a lot of fun. This was so I used obviously to fill the blacks with my brush Copic, and this guy used a ton of 0.5. I used 0.5 everywhere, a little bit of my 0.1, not a whole lot though. For this one, the 0.1 didn't make a lot of sense, and in a couple spots I was using the 0.3. I almost brush penned this. In fact, I kind of wanted to brush pen it. This is a Pentel brush pen. Let me show you right here. Let's see. Get out of here. See. So this is a brush pen, right? I've been trying to practice with this, and man, dude, it's fucking hard. Excuse my language. Like, I'm not very good at using these brush pens. I want to get better at them though, but in this case, I just stuck to my multi-liners for the most part. Anyhow, that's enough of me babbling. Let's let this dry and let's get to the colors. 3, 2, 1, and there we go, colors. There's nothing quite like primary flats to just make a design pop. Yeah, like in hindsight, once the colors dropped, I kind of realized some of these lines needed to be even thicker to bring out some of the details. It's not like this, like the Asterix I drew here isn't correct or doesn't pop out, but if you take a look at like the original Uderzo drawing right here, there's way more thick lines, like thick. Yeah, so, you know, next time I try to do a cartooning style, I think I'm definitely gonna have to go with the brush pen here, because yeah, I think the multi-liners, they're just too linear in the way that they work. I think they're great for detailed drawings, but I think in this case you really want to have a brush. I just really hate brushes. Anyhow, that's the video, guys. Let me know what you think. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Hit the bell for notifications. You got any comments on Asterix the Gaul or this omnibus or my art? Leave it down below, and I will see you next time.